What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Well, I recently just started doing a little bit of dollar cost averaging into some of my bigger long-term bags, and I want to talk to you about exactly why I'm doing that and what it means going forward. And so, of course, with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, my friends, and let's get straight into the video. Now, today we're going to take a look at the broad market, okay? We're going to talk about what's happening with Bitcoin, what's happening with the market, get a feel for crypto bubbles, talk about some of the different metrics that I really like to use behind the scenes and much more. I know we don't do this super often on this channel anymore, but if you do enjoy it, do let me know, of course, by liking this video. And while you are down there, guys, don't forget, I have a second channel called the Crypto Catch Up where I do stuff like this every single day, guys. We're talking about the broad market. We're talking about what's going on behind the scenes. We're talking about news. We're talking about all those things for you every single day to catch up on what's happening in crypto. So go check that out down in the description below and do go give it a follow. We're at almost 700 subscribers in just 2 weeks. So let's keep the momentum going over there, guys. But in general, again, what is going on in the crypto market today? Well, things have definitely stabilized a good bit over the last 2 days, 3 days. And that's honestly a good thing because things were gonna just getting annoying. You know, where we are in this market hasn't been bad, don't get me wrong. It's definitely not been bad. It's just been aggravating, right? Those little pullbacks and mini dumps and mini pumps, it was just getting annoying. But we do know the true reason as to why that's happening, and we'll talk about it in a second. But of course, what you can see here is the market has somewhat stabilized. You know, last 24 hours, even Sol up 4%, right? But Ethereum 2.6, Bitcoin 1.4, XRP 1.4, ton, Doge 2, 3, 1, 2, 3%, you know. So not a ton going on this weekend, but definitely a lot more stability. And then in the last 7 days, things have rather just been flat. You know, you have some like BNB and Ethereum that are up, but then you have things like Bitcoin and Solana, which are just barely down. And so a lot of flatness, a lot of stability in the market. And you can kind of see that occurring here. A few standouts, right? BNB had a nice little pump towards end of week. Tron had a nice little pump towards end of week. But overall, the majority of them just stable as it is. Now, looking at this thing from more of a monthly perspective, okay, you can see that things are still down, right? I know people are kind of in this spot right now where they feel like things are better, but realistically, we are still down on the month. You know, every major crypto for the most part is somewhat down, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's all the way to ADA or Ondo, Jasmy, DOD. We got Gala, AVAX, WIF, you know, almost all of them. Now, there are a few standouts, HNT and ZEC, and even FTN, right? These are a few that are doing well. Aave had a few good days for sure, but overall, the general market itself is still down. We haven't really entered into real recovery mode yet. We haven't really entered into real recovery mode. And what I will actually do is I'm just going to go over to TradingView real quick. And what we're going to take a quick look at is total market cap, just so you can see this, okay? So let's go here. Sorry, I didn't have this one pulled up. But what you can see, right, is that we're not really in recovery mode quite yet. This thing definitely still is within a macro downtrend. It's still at a point. Let me just get rid of all this. Dude, I was going to Pablo Picasso on this thing. But yeah, what you can see here, right, we're still in the downtrend. We're still in this, you know, consolidationary channel, or consolidationary channel, if that. And yeah, we just haven't really made the break for the upside yet. We're not really going to be in real recovery mode until this thing is like actively retesting and or breaking through the top side of this descending channel. Once this happens, then we're in a spot where like, oh shit, okay, now we're back, right? But until then, we're still in a downtrend. And so because of that, of course, you're going to see that reflecting, and keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind. Now, looking at this thing from more of a fundamental perspective, what is happening in the back end? What's actually happening right now in the market? Not just from charts, but let's actually look at what's happening. Well, what we can see here is, of course, the crypto fear and greed index is still sat at a 31, which is right around mid-level. Mid-level, I believe, is 30, which is right here. And I say it on my second channel all the time, but I think this is an extreme overreaction. I don't think it's validated. I think that people are way too fearful right now, especially in comparison to what we've seen over the last few years. And the fact that we've only spent 36 days in fear or extreme fear in the last year, and throughout all the shit that's happened in the last year, we're now in fear, and we've been in fear more in the last month, 15 days. You know, think about this. Before this month, we had only spent, I'm not going to try to do crazy math right now, but about 20 days in fear or extreme fear. And just in the last month, we added 15 more on top of that, right? Or 19, 20, whatever. Like, that's just a little ridiculous. You know, that's just a little bit ridiculous. And I do think that this is an extreme overreaction. And I think people are way too fearful. But what I do know is buying when people are fearful is extremely good. And I think that although it's the most cliche thing that you'll hear within the world of crypto, it is true. Simple as that. It is true. And in a time like now where I think people are fearful for kind of like, not no reason, but they're definitely too fearful for what's going on right now, I think it's a good time to buy. Now, when you do pair that with technical analysis and you pair that with the fact that you have things like total market cap, which are towards not only just the bottom side of this channel, but it's having moments where it's coming back towards the bottom portion of this channel, right? We have these moments where you can be picking up some cryptos, you know, towards this lower half, and then seeing this market swinging freaking 25-40% back to the upside. I think it's a great opportunity. And sure, you know, there is a chance that we go further lower, right? We definitely could retest a 1.446 trillion. I'm not going to write that off and say it's not possible, but I don't particularly care. Seeing this market go up, come back, establish a higher low, and continue is totally fine with me. And people are just blowing this shit out of proportion, in my opinion. Now, looking at a couple of your other ones, right? You have your Bitcoins. Bitcoin right here. Bitcoin, again, still within this descending channel. Solana, still within this consolidationary channel. We're seeing even things like Ethereum, still retesting to try to get back within this channel. So they're all still extended to the downside. And people being this fearful and them being extended to the downside feels like a good buying opportunity to me. Now, another thing that I like to do to look at, whether or not I think it's a good long-term buying opportunity is look at our 30-day liquidation map for Bitcoin. Now, the reason why I think this is so important is because I know that this market has manipulation behind it. I know that to be true. There's no way it doesn't. I genuinely, with all my heart, believe that. And so, because of that, what I do understand is that the direction that more people will lose is the direction that the market's going to go, right? And so, because of that, what we'd like to look at is to see, okay, what direction will more people lose in the next month or two, right? And the way that you can do that is by looking at the liquidation map. The liquidation map maps liquidations in the sense that if the red line is your price, okay, anything to the left is a lower price. So the x-axis right here is the lower prices, and then anything above it is higher prices, okay? And so what this means is that if Bitcoin goes up to say 61,000, this is the amount of liquidations that'll happen. If it goes up to 62.3, this is the amount of liquidations that'll happen. If it goes up to 65, this is the amount of liquidations that'll happen. You get the point. And so this green line is a representation of the amount of liquidations. And what you can see is that if the green line, which is above the price currently, is higher than the red line, more liquidations will happen if the market goes up. And if the red line is higher than the green line, it means more liquidations will happen if the market goes down. And typically speaking, again, the market will move in the general direction in which the market will liquidate the most amount of people. That's just what it does. Not immediately, right? We could go all the way down to 53,000, wipe out these guys, and then rip past 66,000 to liquidate them. I'm not saying that it can't go down, but what I am saying is that I genuinely believe it to be true that while people will lose if this market goes up, it will go up. And so because of that, I think that this is a fantastic time to be looking to do some long-term dollar cost averaging, but not an absolutely massive amount of dollar cost averaging. Now, the reason that I say that, right, some dollar cost averaging, but not massive dollar cost averaging, is due to the fact that our RSI currently, okay, let's do RSI heat map. This one works well. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 1 week. And what this does is it's a visual representation of where the RSIs of these different cryptos are. So SUI and NEAR and APT, Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. These dots represent where on the RSI, on their own RSIs they are. And then you can see kind of like the conglomerate, like where are the majority of RSIs at currently. And they're still sat towards the bottom side of the neutral zone. They're not in the weak zone. They're not in the oversold zone. The weak zone is a good time to buy. Oversold zone is a great time to buy. The neutral zone is just a decent time to buy. If you're towards the bottom side of the neutral zone, it's like a good, decent time to buy, right? But it's not a crazy good time to buy. And so, of course, because of that, although people are in fear and we are seeing, of course, more liquidation setting up, we're not super overextended right now. We're not super oversold to the downside like we were a couple weeks ago, or about, 13 days ago, roughly 12 days, 13 days ago. And so, of course, because of that, I am definitely doing some dollar cost averaging, but I'm surely not doing a ton of dollar cost averaging right now. Now, let's talk about some of the things I am doing, some of the moves that I am making, now that you can see that I do think that this is a decent time to be buying. Let's start from the bottom and just work to the top. So I've actually only recently invested into one crypto towards the bottom side of things. I've done a little bit of meme coin investing. There was one called Sato. I'm going to release a video on Sato later today, but basically what it is it's a company that's trying to tokenize kind of like the loving mother of Dogecoin and Nero, which is Sato. They feel like not enough people talk about it, and so they're trying to make a token out of it. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like 14 mil market cap, so I thought that was a good one. I added that to my meme coin portfolio, which you can check out the video in a couple hours later today. And then I also invested in a one called XBorg, which is going to be launching tomorrow, okay, on the 19th. Now, I thought this one was interesting because I feel like maybe I got influenced a little bit just because the follower count was growing so fast and so many people that I know are following it, right? We got Sam, we got Connor, we got Zach. They're just growing a lot and they're growing extremely fast. So what they're doing is building the world's largest player identity protocol to drive the evolution of online experiences with that team Liquid. Now, if we do kind of just look at what they're doing, again, what they're looking to do is to build the world's largest player identity protocol to drive the evolution of online experiences. Now, what they're going to do is create an XBorg ID, which will basically be the passport that players can use across all XBorg powered apps and beyond, of course, to access unique experiences and earn rewards based on their online achievements. Now, a couple of the different products in which they're going to have and that they're actively releasing information about already is a FanStack SDK, which will allow developers and brands to build next-gen apps offering a unique experience to each player. They'll have a launchpad for identity-driven investments in gaming. There's going to be AI interfaces SDKs, and then, of course, PlayersCom SDKs as well. And they're just going to continue building and creating this entire ecosystem that obviously could catch a ton of momentum. Now, you guys have seen some of these cryptos that have come out within this space. I mean, if I remember off the top of my head, Chili's got up to like 3 billion. And I think considering the fact that what they're doing is trying to revolutionize the space by creating these XBorg IDs, which are going to make your online presence, maybe the right personality presence, I can't think of the right word, but that it's going to make that so much better and so much more real, and you're going to actually have your own identity across their ecosystem that I think a lot of people are going to want to take advantage of it. So I thought that this was definitely a cool one, and I added them to my bag. They're doing some work with my company, like doing some work getting YouTubers and stuff out, and so because of that, I was like, you know what, I definitely like what they have going on. So that was the only pre-launch that I've invested into. I told you about the meme coin I recently added, and then working my way back up towards the top, I did add a little bit more Jasmy to my bag just because it is sitting below the 50% threshold of this channel here. Of course, it's in this channel. It is still pulling back. I think this could have been an ABC correction, although this is not a, this is not accurate Elliot's wave theory. But of course, what we did in general see is obviously we had our little 5 waves to the top side, right? And then off the 5 waves to the top side, we are seeing a little ABC correction. Now, if I remember correctly, that C correction should typically fall below the 4 point, but I'm no master of Elliot's wave theory. I just generally know how the waves for Jasmy like to go, and this is what it typically likes to do. And so while we are in what could be, in my opinion, one of the last pullbacks before it does try to make a move to the upside, I am adding a little bit more Jasmy to my bag. On top of that, I also did add a little bit of render, as you can see here. This thing is just real low. I think at some point it's going to break back above this descending trend line, and I think it's going to happen before March of 2025. And so because of that, it's an easy reason to purchase. And that's exactly what I did. I think at some point we're going to see it return back to this line, and so I'm just buying it now. Real easy, real simple. Working up a little bit, I did add a little bit more Solana, of course I did, to my bag. Not a ton, realistically, because I don't think I'd really need a lot, because I did buy a little bit around $119, which is roughly like right back down here. So buying back up here is not the best idea, but of course it is in a decent area. I like this little zone that it's in, consolidation zone towards the top side. Don't know if it's going to roll to the downside or to the upside or to the downside. Really got no clue, really don't care, personally speaking. I think $400 to $500 Solana is still on the way. So I did take this little zone of accumulation to accumulate, if that makes sense. ETH. I'm waiting to buy Ethereum to see if it's going to be able to recapture and re-enter back into this descending channel in which it's in now. If it can recapture it, I'm going to buy some more. If it gets rejected, it might continue back towards 2200. So I'm literally just waiting to see if it can break in here before I do purchase some ETH. And then lastly, of course, Bitcoin. I did buy a little bit of Bitcoin because it is, again, below this little 50% threshold. It's doing decently well. I didn't buy a ton, but I bought a little bit just because everybody thinks it's going to go down, and I like to bet against the market. So overall, guys, that is exactly what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. I may have forgot a few. Like I picked up a little bit of AVAX, a little bit of Phantom, but you in general get the idea of why I'm investing into them and what I'm expecting from this market right now. So of course, if you guys do enjoy these videos, please do remember, not only can you subscribe to this channel, but you can go check out my second channel, which is down in the description below. And again, I post videos like this where I'm talking about what the market's doing and what I'm doing every single day. And we've done some live streams. We did live streams, 1, 2, 3. In the last 2 weeks, we've done about 5 live streams, and I plan on doing 1 or 2 a week. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you go subscribe, like some videos up, and help us get to 1,000 subscribers by October, because that's the goal. But of course, if you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe here as well. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.